in course 413, Contrastive Linguistics, and we start with the first unit of interest to us, the material we're going to use. Last time we talked about how we present the material we study or the information we get, or how to express the skill we have. This time we start our first unit, our actual first unit after the introduction. We are required to learn the information I'm going to talk about now as a sample, and the information in the book, and the information we get from life about the writing system, and present very little of all that, but present this in a correct manner and be able to present it in two different ways. The first one in the format of an essay, like let's say 5 paragraphs more or less, and something like 200 words if possible, in the format of sentences, paragraphs, and an essay. We talked about this last time. And we're also required to talk about certain elements or items of that, like the writing in this element or that, and we'll see exercises when we are talking about it. Our subject is the writing system, and it's covered in the book in 2 units, units 2 and 3. Units 1 will... To start with, we mean by writing, not like when you write essays. It's not the idea of the content of writing and so. We simply mean the script. And since we're talking about the 2 languages, Arabic and English, we mean by the script here, the Arabic writing system goes from right to left, in contrast to the Latin, which reverses the direction. One little piece of information expressed in English about the direction of writing. And of course, this is the first thing. The 28 letters of Arabic are all representations of consonants. Each represents exactly 1 consonant sound. Now, this is interesting. The first part I mentioned now had to do with the orthography, which is the way we write Arabic, the alphabet. Now we come to the relationship between the alphabet and the sound, and we call this the spelling. This is the second unit. The spelling of Arabic is almost a true representation of the sounds used in a word. Now, by true representation means Arabic is a phonetic language. When we write kataba, kaf, ta, ba, with fatha, 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 we say kataba. Nobody will make a mistake here. It couldn't be anything else. If we write the word with the diacritical marks, it has one way to pronounce it. It's very clear and no place for mistakes here. Because we read as we write and we write as we read in Arabic. If we see a word in Arabic for the first time and it is spelled correctly with the right diacritical marks, we know how to read it. But if we see an English word for the first time, we may say there might be a silent letter here. This letter might be read as Z. It might be read as S. When I read dose, a dose of medicine, people will say, comparing dose to rose, dose should be read as dose. And that's not true. We can see this like that. However, we come to exceptions, which are few, but there are some exceptions. We say, nevertheless. Now, we are going back on our word. Nevertheless, Arabic still has some inconsistencies, which is difference between sounds of letters. As in the spelling of the words, Taha, Ar-Rahman. We write Taha this way. We don't have an alif. We don't have another alif. Now, if we write Arabic as English, the correct spelling, the word Taha, which is spelled like this in Arabic, should actually be like that. And the Rahman, which we write like this, should actually be written like that. And the word Lakin, which we write like this, should actually be written like that. So this will prove something. In Arabic, there are also inconsistencies, but they are not very many. So there are some inconsistencies as in the spelling. Now we move on to some questions here, how we can deal with them. Exercises. Mention 3 differences between the writing systems in English and Arabic. We can write 2 kinds of things. Write a full essay on the 2 writing systems, 5 paragraphs or more, 200 words, cover many points, not all the points, but write your own commentary. The things I talked about here now, about the negative points and the positive points, the good and bad and so on, are the commentary of the reader, of the user of the two languages. If you're asked to write an essay on Arabic and English writing systems, you write something like, let's say, 5 paragraphs. You introduce the subject, talk about the differences. You write 3 paragraphs with 3 elements of differences, because there are only differences, at least 3 paragraphs here. And 1 large last paragraph, a long one, where you write your own commentary. Something about your experiences with the writing systems of the two. Something about your feeling. For example, suggestions by a Lebanese poet, Said Aql, saying, why not use the Latin alphabet in writing Arabic? And this created a controversy. People fighting one another. Should we or shouldn't we? What do you think about that? I'm not saying here, give me the information, give me your feelings about that. We said we create information. We have ideas that have to do with our own experiences. Maybe we have computer programmers studying the course, and they were writing programs in Arabic, and they found problems about the keyboard, the relation between the keyboard and the text on the screen, and the direction, etc., etc. I say we have to add our own. Here the question saying mention 3 differences between Arabic and English writing system. If it is a limited one, we mention simply 3 points, 3 differences. If we say which sounds are represented in Arabic orthography and which are not, it looks like a simple question, and people will say, what do you mean by that? Sounds, we mean by sounds here what? We mean, of course, consonants and vowels. Okay. Which sounds of the consonants and vowels of Arabic are represented in the orthography and which are not? In the orthography here, we means the alphabet. The alphabet of Arabic represents all the consonants. And this is the answer. All the consonants are represented. We remember 28 consonants, 28 letters. Fine. All the consonant sounds are represented. What about the vowels? Okay, the vowels are 6. The Arabic vowels are 6. 3 long, 3 short. The 3 long are المادات الثلاثة. A, O, E. Alif, Waw, Ya. These are the letters. So the 3 long vowels are represented with Alif, Waw, Ya. What about the 3 short ones? A, O, E. Like when you say kutiba, ko. After kaf we have O. Kuti. After ta we have E. Kutiba, there is A. These sounds, A and not A. These 3 short vowels are not represented in the Arabic orthography. That's why we use the diacritics. So all consonants are represented, the long vowels are represented, the short vowels are not represented, and that's why we use diacritics. What is a homograph? If we study the word homograph, it means writing, and homo means the same. So it means words that are written in the same manner, but they are not the same words. They mean different things. Give a homograph for each of the following.